Welcome to BetHaven, the safe place for safe plays. NFL 2024 season opener. This is it.
No, I'm fired up. I mean, we got NFL season is here, man, and we got tonight's game, which hopefully you've seen our post or my post about our showdown slate tonight. We got Chiefs Ravens, and then tomorrow night we got Packers Eagles. They finally put out the pricing for that. I don't know if you saw how long
it took forever for DraftKings because I was gonna look up
I felt like a true degenerate, like refreshing the page, like where's the pricing? Where's the pricing? I need to know the pricing.
At one point, I was like, are they even gonna do it? Because it's in Brazil. I didn't know if there was like some stipulation that was attached to that or whatever. But
it's out now, which is good, so we can talk that through. But yeah, as of yesterday, it was not out. But it's out now. We're going to go through the Friday night showdown strategy with the Packers Eagles, and then we're going to go into the Sunday slate, all things DraftKings strategy. There's $1 million on the line. There's two different Millie contests. There's a $5 Millie contest with everybody and their mother and their brother in it. 900 and something thousand entries.
It's a lot.
That is insane.
DraftKings is going to get their money's worth in that one.
You can talk to your neighbor and he's got a couple lineups, and then they've got the $100. Now, if you're a big baller, which unfortunately, no.
Maybe if we hit a couple more outrights in the PGA season.
There's a $100 one. Again, 150 max. So the true big ballers will be in that contest. I think it's like 27,000 entries in that one. So your percentage of winning is much higher. But I will be in the $5. They gave me a free one. I'm sure they gave you a free one. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure if you're listening to this, they probably did give you a free one. Look in there. It'll be a little orange ticket. You can click that $1 million contest and you can make a team on DraftKings, maybe turn that freebie into $1 million. But yeah.
Well, if you're new here, this is our first NFL show. Chandler and I have been doing golf videos, weekly golf videos for various PGA tournaments for the last 6 months, maybe more.
Yeah, it's been a while. We will obviously get right back into that as well as football. We're gonna, if the views keep spiking like they are, we will continue to do this. I enjoy it, and
I'll probably do it even if views don't spike because it's fun.
Enjoy it. I mean, honestly we had a good golf season overall. We had a great. I know I did. I hit several outrights, hit some big contests, and I'm career plus on DraftKings over the $100,000 winnings mark now. We're not gonna talk about the losses, but I am a positive, DraftKings player, which I don't feel like there's that many out there.
That's got to be like such a small percentage.
And I'm not a high stakes player.
Right.
So that's another thing to take in consideration. These guys that are high stakes players, you could say you're positive, but how much you dumping in per week? You dumping in 5,000, 10,000 a week, making 150 lineups that are generated. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not generating anything at this point. No lineup generators for me. It's all hand build, single entries, 3 maxes. But I will be in the Millie tonight. And I will be in the Millie Sunday, just because, $1 million you kind of
you have to throw a dart, even if it's
take your chance. Yeah. I don't love it. It's not a good strategy. I don't recommend it.
You're a max enter guy.
Absolutely,
that you will preach that to the end. But it's part of the reason you see the contest, you see $1 million to first, and you're like, all right, it's worth a dart or two or three.
It's worth the chance. I've got 10 lineups for tonight's showdown, Kansas City, Baltimore.
That's a $15.
That's a $15. Yeah. So I've got 10 there. So that's a pretty big investment for me, honestly, compared to what I normally do. And then hopefully we get some money back at minimum so I can throw some more millies into the $5. I've already got, I think, 2 in there. I haven't really done a whole bunch. I want to go ahead and talk through this with you.
With it earlier.
Look into the stats and look into the schedule and the breakdown. So you want to start with Friday night?
Yeah, let's, like I said, if you're new here, make sure you like the video, or if you're listening on Spotify and or Apple Podcasts, make sure you rate the show, like the show. We're going to get into a regular swing of NFL content. Like I said, we've been doing the PGA stuff for a little bit now, had a good golf season, trying to carry over some of that information and maybe winnings. We did have some decent winnings, like you said. So into the NFL, and we'll maybe touch on other sports, but let's jump right into the contest this week. As you can see, I've got my Joe Burrow jersey on. I got another one in the closet. This is the one I decided to go with, but
so we were going to film the show yesterday, and I think probably going forward, I would like to film on Wednesdays because I think it gives us an opportunity
to get the Thursday night
to do the Thursday night showdown, which I think is a big contest.
This is a huge slate. There's a ton of games.
There's obviously no buys or anything like that this week, so Yeah, I think Wednesday night would be great for us going forward. So I had my Cowboys jersey on, which you've probably seen in the video, but I didn't want to wear my Cowboys jersey back-to-back days on camera, so I gone with the Hurricanes.
That's a bad strategy for,
Yeah, well, that's part of the problem with this show. It's hard to not
That's true.
duplicate your outfit
When you're doing something every single week, and it's
Yeah, we've been going on it for a while. I've probably duplicated it at some point, but yeah, I was trying not to go back-to-back with the old TO jersey I had on yesterday.
yeah. All right, so you said you want to start with the Friday night game?
Yeah, let's go with the Friday night showdown slate. You've got Eagles, Packers in Brazil. Line opened up at Eagles -2.5. It's now at -2 at most books, with a total that opened
-2.5 in favor of the Eagles.
Yep. And the total opened up at 49, which is fairly high, one of the highest on the slate. And it is kind of hovered. Most books still have it around 49. My strategy will pretty much always be, and I went over this in the video, will pretty much always be for showdown. It will be either a tight end or a wide receiver at captain and bringing it back with that quarterback, and then probably selecting the other quarterback as well if I can based on pricing, and then kind of filling it out from there as far as what I think the script is. For this game, I don't know about you, but for this game, I think that I like the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that the Packers, they're receiving some hype this year, and maybe they're good. We'll see. But, for them to beat the Cowboys at the end of last season in the playoffs, which that obviously hurt me deeply, but I feel like that was kind of a fluky deal. I think the Eagles are a legit team. If you go through their roster now, like clicking names through this game, which I'll go ahead and pull it up here, they are loaded, it seems like. They are loaded on offense with Hurts, Smith, A.J. Brown, and now they got that backfield dog. Which you can talk about whether you think that he's going to be
So I've already had this conversation.
legit or not. I don't know.
I've already had this conversation because someone brought up, the health concerns of Aaron Jones and oh wait, are you talking about?
I'm talking about.
You're talking about Saquon?
Barkley back there now for the
So
Eagles.
yeah, no, honestly similar situation, but Saquon. Oh man, I think it's weird because he showed all that loyalty to the Giants. He had that weird contract deal where he didn't, he wasn't getting paid, and they kind of chose to pay him very late. And didn't they franchise tag him?
Yeah, they basically were like, you can test the market and see what you can get. And then they came back and they were like, they basically weren't super motivated to re-sign.
Well,
they basically were like, go see what you can get, man, and come back and give us a chance to match it. And he went out and the Eagles paid him.
Yeah.
And that sucks for the Giants that it's in division. I'm sure they don't like that. Actually watching, I believe it was one of the shows I was watching that had the Giants. But the owner was actually not very thrilled about it. It was the GM that made the decision that hey, I'm not really focusing on re-signing this guy, because if you look in the past, paying your running backs is typically not even a successful strategy.
Yeah.
Usually, you pay your quarterback. If you can, you pay a D end, and the running backs come and go. I mean, these guys get absolutely destroyed.
It's crazy because it used to be
so
the
many
opposite.
hits.
It was like, how much can we pay these guys? And then I think it's kind of like a Todd Gurley effect when
it's
Todd Gurley got
Gurley.
paid and then just
It's kind of Zeke too. I mean, being a
same.
Cowboys fan, when they paid Zeke, the Cowboys were on such a great run early in Zeke's career. They got to the NFC finals and lost, and everybody I remember saying oh, don't worry, man, you guys are on such a high trajectory. You guys are peaking. You guys are going to get there next year. And when you get there, when your team is young and everybody's salary is correct to make it work, you got to make it count. And they didn't. And obviously, Zeke, we've seen the fall of Zeke and all these guys, really. I mean, you take enough hits. The Cowboys got all the dudes in the backfield now that are beat up. They got Zeke and Dalvin Cook back there now.
Yeah.
I mean, we got two washed guys. I don't know what Jerry Jones is doing. We're living in 2010 or something, dude. This dude.
It's not. They aren't who they were at this point.
But yeah, as far as the Eagles go, they have a ton of talent on their offense. A.J. Brown is going to be the highest price guy here at $11,000. Obviously, Hurts 10.6, Love 9.8, Saquon 9.4, Devontae 9,000.
So let's just go. So basically what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of break down the favorite players, how we expect the game to go. I don't want to spend so much time on every single game. But this game I feel like is a kind of an important one.
Mm-hmm.
I expect it to be somewhat of a shootout.
Yeah, the total would say that it is going to be a shootout.
One of the higher totals of the week. It's actually, if you look across the board, you got a ton of, lower mid 40s, and this is the one that, that's up there a little bit. You like the Eagles, you said. So with that expectation, I'm assuming you.
Yeah, so I really like Devontae Smith or AJ Brown at captain. Looking at it here, though, if you do AJ Brown at captain,
he's 11,000 normal, so he's going to be.
He's 16.5 at captain now.
Yeah.
So then obviously I have to bring him back with Hurts because looking for double points, looking for the stack. That leaves you at 5,725. Then I like to go Love typically, because he's the opposing quarterback, and now I'm at 4,300.
And if you expect the Eagles to win, you probably expect the Packers to be trailing and Love to be throwing
And
more often than
looking
not.
for dump offs. A good strategy I like to employ is if the backup running back for the team is kind of like the pass catching back, I like to throw him out there because typically late in games, they're down
Some
2
PPR
touchdowns.
stuff.
There's a lot of dump offs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dump offs to the running back, like in the last 2 minutes. The running back situation for the Packers
Picked up
is a little
Josh
different.
Jacobs in the offseason.
It's a little different this year. They got Josh Jacobs back there, and he's probably going to see a ton of work, I feel like, in this spot. Their two backups, Wilson and Lloyd, are both questionable and unproven. So I expect Jacobs to get a ton of work. You kind of have to squeeze him in there somehow, but pricing-wise with this build, it becomes very tough.
So
It becomes very tough. Maybe I'll end up getting to more Smith at captain than AJ Brown. Just looking at this now that I'm building.
I'm gonna go a different route, and I typically do this. Like, I'll try to find one of the cheaper captains that I still think has the potential to get
Enough to make it work.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at Dallas Goedert. I feel like he's dealt with some injuries. He's kind of gone under the radar a little bit, but he's still a very good tight end, and he's probably gonna get 7 targets, 8 targets if I had to guess. And I just think he actually put together a pretty solid stretch at the end of last season. 14 fantasy points, 15 fantasy points, had a dud against the Giants, and then 12 against Tampa Bay. If he gets 6, 7, 8 targets, I think he's well worth the price, and it gives you some saving options once you play him in that captain spot. So he's 8-7 in the captain spot, I believe. Yeah. And that gives you all kinds of options. You can get Hurts and Love in there.
Gives you a lot of options for sure. And the interesting thing that this slate will probably be won or lost on is the Packers receiving core. They have a ton of receivers this year.
And it's just like
you don't know who their guy is really. You don't know who their number 2 is. It's pretty clear on the Eagles.
They've always sort of been that way, though, to be honest.
Yeah, but it's pretty clear on the Eagles that it's AJ Brown, then it's Devontae Smith, and then there's a pretty good drop off. But with the Packers this year, you don't really know. Is it Dobbs? Is it Reed?
Well, I've got Goddard in at captain, Love, Hurts, Barkley, Jacobs. So double QB, double running back, and I've got $3,300 left for a flex. I mean, that to me is like, that's not bad there. You can throw Jahan Dotson in there, new pickup from the Commanders. Or what are we calling them at this point? Are they the Commanders?
Yeah, they're the Commanders.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I just think Goddard at captain gives you a couple different options, and I think he's one of the cheaper plays that, like, it's still a little bit riskier than the workload that AJ Brown and Devontae Smith would see, and Devontae Smith has huge, like, big play potential. I think he's typically a deep ball catcher. AJ Brown's sort of a bang it out kind of receiver, like just kind of heavy hitter in my opinion, but I like Goddard here at the captain spot, and then it just kind of opens up different options.
It definitely opens up a ton of options. I'll probably play around with that, but the lineup that I've landed on here that I'll give you guys is Devontae Smith at captain, then bringing it back with Hurts and Love, and then I really like Josh Jacobs to probably get a lot of pass catches in this scenario. Like, you have to kind of script it. Like, how do you think the game's going to go? I think the Eagles are going to score early. Maybe I get a Devontae Smith 50-yard touchdown or something like that, and then all of a sudden, the Packers are playing from behind. They're doing a lot of dump offs to Josh Jacobs. I've also brought in Luke Musgrave, the tight end. His backup is questionable for this game. The backup tight end for the Packers is questionable. So I think he'll get a pretty good workload. Maybe he catches some dump offs. And then it leaves you with Dodson, which I don't necessarily love, but maybe he catches the ball early. Maybe he gets some touches. Maybe he squeaks out a touchdown somehow. You know, that's the lineup I'm going with. Devontae with Hurts, Love, Jacobs, Musgrave, Dodson. Don't love that it only leaves you $100 on the table, but it's a good single entry lineup, I would say. Not a milli lineup. It's a good single entry lineup. That lineup will be duplicated for sure in million.
Yeah,
leaguers.
that's the other thing you run into with these showdowns is you just the chances of not splitting.
Leave some money on the table if you can. Make something that's a little different. And we're playing in. You can run it the other way too and say, well, I don't think the Packers are going to win, but let's say if the Packers did win, how would they do it? And then pick that way.
It's like you said, it's all game theory. So if you expect it to go the other way, then you could start your
I would
lineup.
still do the same thing, but I would just swap it. I would go Dobbs or Reed or one of these. You could go cheap wide receiver. You could go Watson or something like.
Well, I think Josh Jacobs is going to kind of play like I said. Aaron Jones was kind of a dual threat. He did catch a lot of passes out of the backfield, and Josh Jacobs I think has that same potential.
I think he's going to have to.
Yeah, I think he's going to take that
touches.
same exact. And I've actually placed a bet on that. I want to say I can't remember what site it was on, but it was his line wasn't very high. I want to say it was like 14.5, maybe no 11.5 over receiving yards, 11.5, and I went ahead and bet the over for that. So, yeah, I mean you're just going to have to fill that role. Jordan Love is he looked great last year, but you're still going to need some safety. Like he's not like a super experienced quarterback yet. And I think the less experience you have, the more dump offs you see from these quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you're down. But again, you could go the other way. You could go with a Packers wide receiver, bring it back with Hurts and Love, and then fill it out from there. Same kind of strategy, just the other team winning potentially. So that would be the breakdown for what I would do for the showdown slate for Friday.
Cool. All right, let's get into these Sunday games. Like I said, we're not going to talk about every single game. There's some games on here I love. There's some games on here I absolutely hate. But yeah, we'll at least touch on them, whether we like them or not. You're going to have the over-unders for everything, the spreads and that kind of stuff. But let's start off. You got Pittsburgh at Atlanta, a 1:00 game. So any interest in that game at all? Because I have zero.
Yeah, so you got an over-under total of 42, and it's in Atlanta, in the Dome, which is something to consider. In a Dome, you're not going to get weather.
I do love Dome games, but...
yeah, and
Dome.
the Falcons
I do love
Dome. Falcons are favored by 3 currently. You can get 3.5 on some books. Yeah, not much love here. You're gonna get Russell Wilson starting at quarterback.
He's got a questionable tag on DraftKings right now.
Really?
Tomlin noted that Wilson was limited in practice Thursday after reporting calf tightness.
Limited? He's supposed to be Mr. Unlimited.
Probably. Look, he was doing high knees on the jet again, and he hurt his whittle calf. So, yeah, probably nothing there. But I actually expect Fields to take the starting spot at some point in this season. I think Russell, he's shown sort of in recent history an inability to do what he did without turning the ball over. And I think you're going to see Justin Fields take the starting spot. But that's about all I care about for Pittsburgh. If that happens, I actually would start liking their offense a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't like anything from this game, really. Yeah. I think if I did, I would maybe take a shot. You could potentially, again, this is long shot, like milli contest stuff, but you could take a shot on maybe Russell Wilson's Pickens as a cheap stack option. If you think that the Falcons are bad, maybe this total gets a little weird. As far as the Falcons side, I don't know. I don't like it. Also, if you think about, and this is a good way to think about it too, what's going to be the best unit on the field? We're talking Steelers offense, Steelers defense, Falcons offense, Falcons defense.
Steelers defense.
Steelers defense is probably the best unit in that game.
Yeah.
So I don't really love the Falcons offense going against that. I think
people are kind of high on the Falcons, and I guess I'm gonna wait. Like that's like a wait and see for me.
The one thing I would say that I potentially would play in this game would be Steelers defense 2,900. Kirk Cousins is probably going to throw the ball around a little bit. And, Kirk is known to maybe throw it to the wrong team a little bit, and that's what you need when you're picking a defense for this week, especially in Millie contest. There's going to be a pick six somewhere, probably. Yeah, there's a good chance, and you need to have that team.
Defense. Yeah.
So your opportunity for that defense actually increases the more that team throws. So typically you would kind of think, oh, I want to pick a defense where the game's going to be 10-10. It's in the rain. It's going to be a sloppy game. Well, not really. The actual way you want it is you want, Josh Allen to have his weirdo game where he throws 4 interceptions and 2 of them get ran back to the house. And you would think, oh, well, I don't want to play against Josh Allen. Well, typically no. But if he has his game where he's like trash and throwing it to the wrong team, that's 100% the defense you want. So something to think about. Also, those teams usually they're also priced down. The defense are usually cheaper in that scenario.
Yeah.
Perfect example this week, speaking of Josh Allen, the Cardinals defense is the cheapest defense this week.
I feel like a lot of people are going to play that.
It's a way to, it's a way to pay down on defense and pay up at your quarterback wide receiver stack. Yeah. So we can move on to the next game.
All right. Up next is Carolina at New Orleans. Worst division worst conference in the entire league. What is that? NFC South?
NFC South. This is probably the worst game of the week too, as far as like disgusting. I don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
Saints are favored by 4. This is again in the dome, in the Superdome. We've been there.
Yes, we have.
And like I said, Saints favored by 4 currently.
You got a Carolina team coming off of how many they had,
and the total is 41.5. How
many wins did they have last season? 1.
Not many. I'm not.
I think it was 1. 9-7 Atlanta. That's the only one I see. Did they seriously have 1 win? Yeah. No, they beat Houston, so that 2 wins.
2? Okay. Yeah. The only play I like here is potentially Chuba Hubbard.
Yep. I have a lot of.
Yeah, he's pretty cheap as far as a running back that's going to actually.
And I think he's going to get a big workload.
He's actually going to see the field.
Yep.
At 5,300. You could take a flyer there. Maybe they're down and he catches some passes. Mm-hmm. He's been known to do that too.
Kind of the same situation we talked about before, less experience, more dump offs. You're going to see that with Bryce Young. I mean, they've got to find a way to get that dude comfortable in the offense, and I can't think of a better way than just a bunch of checkdowns.
Yeah. Pretty popular play probably, but I don't really care. There's no real running back. Brooks is the backup and he's out.
Right.
So Hubbard should see like a lot of the field, a lot of game time. So that's about it for that game. I don't even think that there's anything that's stackable or anything worth playing there.
No,
I don't see even the defense. The Panthers defense is tied for the cheapest with the Cardinals. But I would rather play the Cardinals in hopes that Josh Allen just throws it all around the yard and throws it to the wrong team, where I don't see the Saints or Panthers really chucking it that often.
Yeah. All right, we've got Arizona at Buffalo. Speaking of the Cardinals, I know that at one point I saw this line was like -6.5.
Yep, it is still there? Currently -6.5. This is in Buffalo, and the total is one of the higher totals on the slate. It opened at 48. It's down to 47.5 at some books. Obviously getting Josh Allen here, but this is one of the games I do like, and I could potentially see myself using a Allen Kincaid stack because if you go through the Bills receivers nowadays, who's the guy? Like, go ahead and pull up their receiving core.
Is it Shakir? Is that?
It's Shakir.
I mean, I played him.
Samuel, Valdez-Scantling. None of those guys really get me excited.
It's like a graveyard of.
Yeah, I could be totally wrong, and one of these guys could emerge as the number one.
I think Shakir has potential to do that. He kind of strikes me as like a discount Chris Olave, where it's just we saw that in person, where that dude just gets targets and is running all over the field. And Shakir kind of had a couple moments like that last season, where you just saw them throw to him a lot. Now, whether he was catching it but he got some of the targets late. Diggs is no longer there, obviously, so I think you could see a shift. But yeah, I do like the Kincaid call. I think I could see a really like Mahomes, Kelsey kind of season with Allen and Kincaid.
I think it's a good opportunity to get Kincaid before his price skyrockets. I mean, he's 5,800.
He's not exactly cheap.
No, but I mean, he's cheap for a number one wide receiver, which potentially is what he is in this offense. I don't know that Shakir is going to be that guy. Think about all the targets now that are gone that went to Diggs that are up for grabs at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, Josh Allen's going to throw the ball. Who's he going to throw it to? I don't know. Is it going to be Shakir 10 times a game, or is it going to be Kincaid 10 times
I didn't
a
realize
game?
they picked up Curtis Samuel. I mean, I don't.
Again, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know who the guy is. I don't know who it is. I know that he likes throwing it to Kincaid. I know that they have rapport and they've played together enough now to where they know each other. Last 4 games last season, Kincaid targets wise 5, 6, 8, 7. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Again, all these targets that went to Diggs are now up for grabs. Who are they going to go to? I'll roll the dice at Kincaid, 5,800. But I would not blame you for trying to nail it with Shakir or Samuel or whoever.
If it was anybody for me, it would be Shakir. I wouldn't take that risk on Samuel yet. No,
we just don't know.
Yeah,
but you don't really know with any. I mean, even
I've
Shakir,
seen
we don't
connections
really know.
with Allen and Shakir. I don't know what that's going to look like with Curtis Samuel yet. So, like I said, if I did take a flyer on somebody from this that wasn't Kincaid, it would be Shakir.
I also love James Cook here. Cardinals running defense is pretty terrible. They were especially terrible last year. I would assume that they should be pretty terrible again. James Cook probably going to see between 18 to 20 touches here. Wouldn't be shocked if he found the end zone. Not a smash play for me, but I think that it's a pretty good play, and I could see myself doing it. Do you have anything on the Cardinals side?
Just kind of looking at. So obviously, why am I blanking? Kyler Murray, came back later in the season last year, but they weren't really doing anything. Who was Dobbs quarterback for them, and then he got sent to Minnesota? Who was quarterback for? Isn't that what happened?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think you could see possibly Kyler Murray kind of show out a little bit. It's not like that's completely off the table, but I'm not going to bank on it. I feel like I've seen a lot of conversations about the Cardinals winning this game, which...
Yeah, the Cardinals are catching steam, but obviously people aren't really betting on it. Maybe it's from a DraftKings perspective.
I mean, if that's the case, if you truly think that, then I think you have to look at James Conner. I don't see another running back that's going to be really getting... they picked up Benson, maybe.
The Cardinals have James Conner, he's been there for a while. He's listed as the number 1. Massive into his season. He's also kind of injury prone.
Yeah.
Him and Murray kind of came back at a similar time, and they actually were a pretty decent football team at the end of the year.
That's what I'm saying. If you kind of look at what they did, I think a lot of it was because of those two. So if you could find a way to play Connors with, if you truly, or James Conner, if you truly think that the Cardinals are going to be in this game or win potentially, then I think you have to play that, especially if you like this game. Like if you like the game total, if you like the script or whatever, you're going to have to play it.
Yep, they add Marvin Harrison Jr., so this will be his debut. We'll see.
I personally think the Bills are going to smash the Cardinals.
Yep.
I think that
that's fine. I got no problem.
They're getting
with
a little bit of disrespect. I actually thought about betting the Bills weeks ago. I was just looking when all the odds came out and everything.
Are they going to be your survivor pool pick?
No.
Okay.
I don't trust Josh Allen that much.
I feel like they will be a fairly popular pick. I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
But I do feel like they'll be a pretty popular survivor pool pick. For me, the only interest I have is, like I said, I will make some teams that will probably stack Allen, Kincaid, but on my weird teams where I'm trying to win $1 million and get even crazier, I could see myself using the Cardinals defense. They're the min price. Josh Allen has been known to have random games where he just doesn't show up.
Yeah.
He throws 4 interceptions just randomly. You're just like, what in the world is this? I've seen it it happens, I feel like, at least 1 or 2 times every season.
Yeah.
90% of the time, he's amazing. But that 10%, all of a sudden, like, the lights go out and he just starts throwing it to the other team. So
I personally
maybe week
don't,
1, take a shot.
Yeah, I feel like that's a fine strategy to like to build a couple
For
teams.
a milli lineup
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, because it's going to be, I feel like a lot of people are going to stack Kincaid or Allen Kincaid. I think that's going to be a popular stack.
I could see him throwing Cook on there too.
And Cook.
And just saying, hey, I think the Bills smash here. I'm
and
just going to load up on the offense.
There's definitely a chance of that. But yeah, I think
this could be a game milli wise that you target and you make like, sometimes I've seen this work out before where you make one game like 80% of your lineup.
Yeah, no, I think personally, if you're going to stack,
because you could bring it back on the Cardinals side
right?
too.
If you're going to stack Allen
they're
Kincaid,
getting hammered.
I think you go.
They're throwing.
Yeah, I think you go a lot of Cardinals.
So then you could go. I mean, the number one highest priced tight end this week is McBride on Arizona. You could bring it back, double tight end, McBride. Harrison's kind of expensive at this point, especially considering we're talking about, spending all your money on Allen and Cook.
Why is he so expensive?
Who's next in line for them wide receiver wise?
Say Jones is out.
So it's
Michael Wilson
or Dortch.
Dortch is interesting. How much is he?
3.9.
Had some good games at the end of last season. I wouldn't hate that. I think that's not a crazy strategy. No.
To make this game, there's a few games, we'll get to them. There's a few games like this one that have the potential to go bonkers on both sides of the ball. This is one of them. If you feel really good about this game, you could potentially make like this 80%.
Yeah.
Like go Allen, Cook. You could go Connor if you really wanted to, but you could skip that running back.
It's a little bit outside of the actual game theory. If
go
yeah.
Dortch, Kincaid, double tight end, McBride, and then
personally
go elsewhere for your other.
I would probably leave out
positions.
McBride, but I think that's what I would do is stack that all the way through. But
you could do that too if you were like.
I would not pick the
McBride's
Cardinals
gonna
defense
get
if
the
I was
touchdowns.
doing that either.
No, but you could.
Yeah.
But no, it makes less sense, but it's still not impossible. All right, I'm good on that though.
Yeah, I'm glad we talked about that one the most so far because I do think that game is going to be an important one this week.
Yeah.
Up next we got Tennessee at Chicago. That's there's a couple 1:00 games, so never mind. Yeah, Tennessee at Chicago.
Tennessee at Chicago. In Chicago, total is 45, and the Bears open as a 4-point favorite. It's down to 3.5 now at most books. We got the debut of Caleb Williams here.
The reason that this is getting, what'd you say, it opened at 4, now it's 3.5?
Yeah, so the Titans are getting a little bit of money.
Because of the stat where like first round or first overall pick quarterbacks are 0-14-1 on their season opener.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a data play. If you truly like data and you're like, okay, let me bet everything that I have according to what stats tell me, that's a pretty massive one.
This is a stay away from me.
Yeah, I don't like this game at all.
I don't really like anything here. Obviously playing anything with Caleb Williams at this point is a total flyer play. You have no idea what you're getting here. Look at the running backs. I know Pollard's here. Yeah, Pollard's here now for the Titans.
Mm-hmm. Titans low-key have a I wouldn't say like an elite offense, but like they've got weapons. I mean, you got Calvin Ridley. Hopkins is questionable. They picked up Tyler Boyd from the Bengals.
The Titans are one of the big unknown teams this year as far as like what are you going to get out of this team?
Which I feel like you always get sort of the same with them. They never really do anything like massive.
Looking at this freaking receiving core, I tell you what,
it's a
if
solid,
Will Levis is anything,
he's going to do something.
That this team should be offensively solid.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard in the backfield now, as a guy who's destroyed his knee, Tony Pollard last year with the Cowboys did not look the same as the year before. But I will say knee injuries.
He's also got a lot. He's got access to a lot better medicine than you.
He does. But the one thing I can say is that first year after, when they say like, okay, you're good now, you still don't really feel very good.
No,
It kind of takes that next year to get that next level to where you do feel a little bit better. I wouldn't be surprised to see Tony Pollard increase his production from what he did last year. We'll see. Spears is right there as his backup, also a decent running back. But yeah, if Will Levis is anything, man, he's got some boys to throw to.
Yeah.
We're talking Ridley, Hopkins, Boyd. I mean,
he's got guys.
He's got some dudes.
It's like you said, if he's anybody, he'll make it work, because it's not because of a lack of
I will put that receiving core up against anybody out there, honestly.
Put that receiving core on the Chiefs, and what happens?
Whew. Problems happen.
I mean, seriously, like
problems.
That's what you have. Anytime that you're like questioning what an offense is, or whether the quarterback is the issue, put whatever receiving core you've got on the Chiefs, and then tell me what happens. And that's a perfect example of that.
Potential play for me here would be a bet Titans money line.
I've already taken them at +4.
That too. That's fine too.
I did I think
plus 160 money line.
Okay, yeah, that's not bad either. Is that on DraftKings?
That is on ESPN Bet. Actually, the best number is on
it's the worst book of them all.
Yeah, best number is actually FanDuel plus 166.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have some parlays as far as like the money lines, and
I don't hate that just because of the unknowns. Week 1, we don't really know. Screw it. Take the underdog.
I mean,
probably take the plus
I can't.
The safe bets take the +4.
I can't envision Chicago just coming out and smashing anybody.
I can't either, unless Caleb Williams is like really good, and we just don't know. I really don't know how good he is. I obviously think he's pretty good, but the NFL is a different animal.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And we've seen that time and time again where guys show up and we're like, this dude is a dog. And then he shows up and we're like, that wasn't that great.
Yep.
So I guess we'll see.
All right. Next game is New England at Cincinnati.
Gross. Total 41 points. This is in Cincinnati. And Cincinnati opened up as an 8-point favorite. It is now 8.5.
That number went down to 7.5 yesterday at one point. It is now at 8.5.
Yeah, back to 8.5. This will be probably the most popular survivor pool pick this week. Will be the Bengals over the Patriots,
which is absolutely terrifying.
Which is for sure terrifying.
This is the type
week 1 NFL survivor. There is no safe play.
No, there's not.
None of them are like.
And honestly, this year, the first games this year seem even more so like, damn, which one do I take here? Who do I take that feels? Because like I said, I think the Bills are gonna smash the Cardinals, but like I could see it. I could see it not happening. Sure. Same thing here. Like I could see the Bengals letting me down and letting a lot of people down.
Yeah, they're not exactly like the most reliable team.
No,
their ceiling is super high, but their floor is pretty low too.
Right. I mean, I need to see.
We've seen it.
I tell you what. Well, you can't really say, because I was going to say, depending on how this game goes, that'll tell you whether they're going to do something this year. Because in recent history, that they made it to the Super Bowl, they made it to the AFC championship game. Like they've done stuff, but
because their ceiling is high.
Yeah, and I think they have to come out and like
they got Slim Shady at quarterback now too.
I know, right?
Slim Burrow?
Dude, that dude is the coolest motherfucker I've ever seen in my life.
If you could be anybody in the NFL, you think you'd be Joe Burrow?
Hands down. 100%.
I'm trying to think of who I'd be, man. I don't know.
Maybe Christian McCaffrey.
Dude, McCaffrey's a big dog.
But yeah, I like the Bengals here. I think I could see this game being like just a really ugly, messy 17-10. Bengals pull it out.
That's kind of what this total is telling me.
But I could also see it like where they're going to feel a little disrespected by the notion here, I think.
Still no Jamar Chase news.
Nothing official yet. He did do a full practice though.
Yeah, and that's one thing that you can say. He has been, reports are saying that he has been at practice or around the team this entire time.
He's been at every single practice.
He's been there. Yep. He wants to play, obviously. You can kind of tell like him and Burrow and these guys are all friends. Like this isn't such a, sometimes it gets so businessy where guys are just like, No, call me when you got the contract figured out, and I'll show up.
They actually care about each other.
They care about each other. I agree that he definitely wants to play. We'll see. We're coming down to crunch time at this point.
Higgins has a questionable tag, something hamstring related.
Yeah, he was limited in practice. I don't know how much stock I'd put into that. Obviously, keep an eye on that if you're going with Higgins this week. Higgins potentially is a great play if Chase is out and Higgins is good to go, which I'm, from that news, I think he's probably good to go. But make sure you double check, Sunday morning. Maybe he tweaked something today and we don't know. This is being downplayed. I don't know. But check on it Sunday morning. You need to check all of it Sunday morning, honestly, to make sure nothing popped up.
Yeah, that's the hardest part about NFL is just
you need to check the weather.
Yeah.
Check the weather Sunday morning too. Make sure all of a sudden there's not going to be a rain out and you've decided to stack that game. But yeah, as far as this Bengals play goes, I don't know. People will probably pick a ton of it in Survivor. I don't know that I'll get there. Keep an eye on Jamar Chase, see if he's playing. Higgins for me, if Chase isn't playing. But beyond that, I wouldn't say that I really love anything. Nothing for you?
No, I don't really like putting them in my DraftKings stuff for the most part. I typically don't. Well, I haven't put any bets. Like when I've done a couple money line parlays and I haven't touched the Bengals on any of them. So, but I know what they should do here and what they can do, and we'll just see if they do it. Next game, Houston at Indianapolis.
Yeah, this is another game I love.
Dome game.
This is another game Road Dome for the Texans.
Give me the Road Dome.
Road Dome play of the week right there is the Texans. I like a -3 is what it opened at and is what it has stayed at. And we got another fairly high total here, 48.5.
Deshaun Watson should have just stayed at the Texans, man. He could open his season with some Road Dome.
A little Road Dome for the Houston Texans.
Something tells me Deshaun Watson loves some Road Dome.
Big fan. But they don't need him. They got CJ Stroud, and this dude is a baller. He's got some weapons now, specifically in Diggs at receiver.
I could see that. I could see fireworks with that.
Could be, man. I mean, this is another receiving core that if you really look at the Texans, they got some guys. He's got some guys to throw to this year.
You got Nico in there. You got Diggs. You picked up Mixon in the backfield.
Tank Dell.
Yep.
Dalton Schultz at tight end. Like, man, he's got some dudes to throw to this year. They are kind of a hot pick for people, like Super Bowl sleeper kind of team. Obviously, made the playoffs last year, and we're really trending at the end of the year. I don't know. This is a great play for me.
They lost to the Ravens.
I can't remember. Was it the Ravens? It might have been the Ravens.
Yeah, they lost to Baltimore.
Yes, lost to Baltimore. But I think that this is going to be a very good team this year. The defense is pretty solid. A ton of offensive weapons. Adding Diggs can only help.
Maybe.
This is a great. This is another game though that I think that you could play it both ways.
Yeah, that honestly, I think I like this one more than Cardinals.
Yeah, I think you could play this one both ways. You could go, Stroud Diggs, Stroud Collins. You could go the other way. You could go Richardson. I think the only interesting thing as far as the Colts side is Josh Downs, I think, is questionable. Yeah. So you've got Pittman. Obviously, Pittman's a good receiver for the Colts. Josh Downs, questionable. Wasn't at practice today, so which I'm totally fine with, to be honest with you. I kind of hope he doesn't play because Mitchell at 3,800 I think would be a smash play for me. Huge upside for that kid. I think that he's going to be really good. I could see me playing maybe Richardson with Mitchell if Downs is out, and that would be a super cheap stack to start with. Something to look at. I mean, Richardson, we don't really know that much about him. He's out of Florida. He was hurt most of the year. But listen to this stat I pulled. He played in 3 full games last year. 3. In those 3 games, he had 3 passing touchdowns and 4 rushing touchdowns, including some rushing yards in there, meaning he's a good fantasy player. He may not be like a really good football player. I don't really know. We don't really know at this point. But fantasy wise, he's going to run. He's going to throw. He's going to get some passing touchdowns. He's going to get some rushing yards, some rushing touchdowns. He definitely has high upside. And if he's going to play at 6,300, it's not the worst idea. I think he's going to be fairly low owned. Pairing him with Pittman or potentially Mitchell if Downs is out, I think is a good strategy. And then I will bring it back for sure on the other side of the ball with Schultz, with maybe Diggs, maybe Collins, maybe Dell.
Maybe that's how you get maybe that's how you get the ownership leverage. You stack it the reverse of what everybody else is going to do.
Exactly. Richardson is not going to be a super.
You just said it yourself, and looking at his numbers, I mean, like you said, he played 3 full games against Jacksonville, 21.9 fantasy points, against Houston, 17.7, against the Rams, 30.6. Like, the guy can put up points.
3 games, 7 total touchdowns.
That's crazy.
It's not including, obviously, his points for the yardage, rushing, and passing. So, yes, he is a very high upside guy. We don't really know what he is, but we got enough of a sample size to know that he puts up points.
Well, and here's I said 17.7 against Houston. He threw for 56 yards and had 17.7 fantasy points. Like,
the ceiling is massive.
That's crazy. So
as far as the fantasy,
I actually like that a lot, and I'm probably going to do a lot of that now. It's just stack Richardson, maybe Pittman, and then run it back with a lot of the guys on the Texans.
And there's a ton of different options. You can try and nail it and get weird with it. You could go Schultz and Dell. I mean, it's not crazy that could be the pairing that ends up being the highest points for those two, and would save you money too. Or you could go, get a piece that you like elsewhere. You could go get Cook from the Buffalo game and say, hey, Josh Allen's not going to throw 3 touchdowns. He's going to hand it off to Cook, who's going to run in 3 touchdowns. Yeah. I mean, that could be a potential way to get a little bit different. But yeah, this is another game. We've talked about it now twice, and I'm glad you're on the same page with me as far as maybe picking for the Millie contest, picking one game and making that one game maybe 80% of your lineup, because there's a very good chance, especially given this slate, you're looking down the board here and we'll get to it all, but there's only really like 3 games really with a high total. So there's a very good chance that one of these games ends up like weird, like 40-30 final score. And all the other games are like normal, like 21-14 ball games.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to get as much of the high game as you can. And this is a way to do it.
Well, one of the potential high games, I think, and I'm not sure what the numbers tell you, but we got Jacksonville at Miami. Miami at home, it feels like why would you not go there? I think the only question that I have is I still don't know if Tua is good or not. I really don't. But I've already made a Millie Maker team with a stack of Tua and Tyreek. That may be a very popular stack this week, but I'll find other ways to get different there. But what do you think? I mean, I think that Jacksonville Jaguars, it's weird because everybody talks about them every season like they're going to be this team that finally kind of breaks through and does something, but I just haven't seen it yet. You have Evan Ingram on there, who I think he was like second in overall offensive stats to Travis Kelce from a tight end position standpoint. Like, they've got what they need, and they've got Trevor Lawrence, but like what are the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Yeah, so total in this game is 49. It's another one of the higher ones. And the Dolphins are favored by 3.5, which is kind of weird.
That's not enough to me.
It's a little fishy.
It is a fishy line.
It's fishy from the Dolphins. Get it? So I think that the Jaguars actually might have a chance in this game. The only thing that concerns me with the Jaguars is the receiving core isn't exactly stout. It kind of is like the old washed crew in a way. I don't know.
They lost some guys, didn't they?
Yeah, you got Kirk, who's been around seems like forever. You've got Thomas Jr., who I believe was a draft pick. He's a rookie. And then you've got Gabe Davis
from Buffalo.
Okay. And then it just kind of gets, that's it. So, I mean, I don't really know who from this squad is going to be like, Trevor Lawrence's guy. Let's go. Who's their tight end? I don't even know.
Evan Ingram.
Evan Ingram. Maybe Ingram's the guy. Maybe Ingram just sees a ton of production.
If you're gonna
like,
pick somebody,
targets.
yeah, like if you're gonna pick somebody, he was the guy last year. I think he could again be the guy this year.
Had 3 games last year where he had scratch that 4 games last year where he had 10 or more targets. 10, 12, 15, and 13 more targets in several different games last year. Did not have over 100 yards all season. Only 4 total touchdowns. It's kind of shocking. But I don't know. I could see it. I actually probably the piece I like the most might be ETN. ETN does it all. He's a running back for the Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
Just give him the rock and get out of the way. Yeah, I love him in season long. But yeah, ETN for me would maybe be a play. He's pretty expensive. He's the 3rd highest owned running back. I don't know. I think that, like you said, Tyreek Hill and Tua, pretty popular stack. I don't hate it. It could be a smash spot. We've seen Tyreek Hill, he's done it with Mahomes and he's done it with Tua at this point where he has games.
Yeah.
He has games where it's like, if you're trying to win, you better have him on your
feel
team.
like you could stick me or you out there and Tyreek Hill would find a way to get hits.
Just
like,
get him the rock.
He'd figure it out.
Get him the rock.
I'd underthrow him by about 30 yards and he still go and catch it. So
yeah. He's like that Will Ferrell soccer movie where they're like
kicking and screaming.
Pass it to the Italians. Get it to the Italians. Get it to the Italians. 1, 2, 3. Pass it to the Italians.
That's a
get
perfect
the ball to
example
Tyreek Hill. It's the same thing. Get it to the Tyreek and get out of the way. He's that guy. I mean, he's probably going to put up a ton of numbers here. Wouldn't be shocked if Tua Tyreek ends up being the stack you need. It's not inconceivable.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. So yeah, I like ETN out of there. That's about the only thing I like from Jacksonville side. Minnesota at New York Giants.
Minnesota here is a 1.5 point favorite. It's also kind of another gross game. The total, I know it's pretty low, is 41. Yeah, this is ugly.
Sam
I
Darnold.
I don't know. Just this is another pass at the Italians game. Get it to Justin Jefferson and get out of the way.
They picked up Aaron Jones.
And they have Aaron Jones now. So, like we've talked about earlier, what's the best unit in this game? It's probably the Vikings offense. I don't think it's either defense, and I don't think it's the Giants offense. But it's probably the Vikings offense.
That's ugly.
It is, but
you got one of the best wide receivers in football. You got one of the better running backs over the last.
Aaron Jones has proved he's still got it. I mean, at some point he's probably going to fall off, but at this point in his career, he was still fantastic with the Packers last year. And I don't know. I have no issue with Aaron Jones. I have no issues, honestly, with the Vikings offense, but the total scares me. I don't know.
Nothing on the Giants side, I'm assuming.
Nothing on the Giants side. The only thing, if you wanted to get weird, Giants defense in the Millie contest. They're cheap, and Sam Darnold has been known to throw it to the wrong guy every now and then.
That's true.
So if Sam Darnold has a disgusting game where he's just chucking it up to Jefferson and it's not working and it's getting tipped and intercepted, that's a potential solo spot where you would just, hey, it's a cheap defense. Darnold's been known to throw it to the wrong team. Take a shot. Problem is they're one of the more expensive defenses this week. They're the 4th most expensive. So, nothing really for me.
Yeah.
But, moving on.
All right. Where are we at? Denver at Seattle. This is the Giants was the last 1:00 game. Denver at Seattle was a 4:05 game.
Denver Seattle total opened at 42, now at 41.5, and Seahawks favored by 6. In Seattle, Seahawks favored by 6. I don't know. Total's pretty low. These teams are both kind of unknowns this year. We've talked about a couple of these teams being unknown, and this is another one where, what are What are the Seahawks this year? Are they good?
You know that.
They're catching steam as being like a pretty good team.
Well, I've seen a lot of people laying the 6 points, like with no questions asked. You mentioned earlier, like you could see one of these games just kind of popping off and being like 40-30. I could randomly see this game being that way. I mean, you have weapons on the offense for each side. DK Metcalf on Seattle. Tyler Lockett's questionable. I really like JSN. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Smith. I always mess it up. Do it. Hit me with it.
I'm not doing it. I'm not touching that name. That's how you get canceled.
Njigba. um, I really like him this season actually. And I've got a 50 plus receiving yards bet with him. I picked 4 guys to have over 50 receiving yards on Sunday. He's on that parlay. And then you got Cortland Sutton on the other side. Josh Reynolds came from Detroit to Denver. I mean, like you have these guys. Cortland Sutton has been kind of a letdown for the most part. I think it's been injury related, but he also hasn't had like a quarterback. And does he have one now? Not really, but like I said, I could see this game just being like all offense, no defense. And I could also see it being like 7-0.
Go ahead and clip that when it's 7-0 ball game. This is a 3-3 overtime score. Yeah, for me, this is pretty much a stay away everywhere except for Kenneth Walker. I could see Kenneth Walker here getting a couple touchdowns at a reasonable price, 6,100. He would be a solo play for me. Maybe he scores 2 touchdowns when this game inevitably ends up 14-10. Yeah, that's about it for me. I really don't trust either offense. I mean, you just look at the quarterbacks here. We got Bo Nix and Geno Smith. That's not exactly super enticing to me. The receivers, like you mentioned, aren't bad. You got DK. He's still got some game. You got Sutton. You got your other boy. But I don't see the spike here. Could be wrong. I don't see the spike. I'm basing that purely off of who's chucking the rock.
Yeah,
and I don't see either one of these guys, especially both of these guys, going, over 300, over 350 passing yards. I don't see it. But I could see Kenneth Walker scoring 2 touchdowns.
See that, but that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I could just see this game getting like really weirdly high scoring, but I'm not. If I had to pick a percentage, I'd say there's like a 10% chance that happens.
Well, let me tell you this: if you think that happens and you stack this game like 80%,
I'm going to,
and you put it in the Millie contest, and it happens to go off and be the only game that goes off, it could be $1 million decision.
Yeah, I'm going to, just because I feel like that was the game that just kind of, I was like, man, I don't feel like anybody's gonna touch that.
No, I don't. So, I think a lot of people will probably do what I'm saying, is solo Walker. I don't see them stacking that game or anything like that.
All right. What we got next? Is it Vegas? Why can't I open this?
It's the Vegas Raiders and the LA Chargers. Chargers -3. That's what it opened at, and that's what it's staying at. Over under 40. It's kind of shockingly low.
I saw Herbert was he questionable? Or had a limited practice or something?
No tag on him right now.
It says Herbert foot he's a full participant on Thursday. So.
Yeah, so hopefully he's fine. Different coach this year for the Chargers, getting Jim Harbaugh, cheating Harbaugh from Michigan.
Cheating Harbaugh.
Yeah. Watch that documentary. You need to watch it. It's about Michigan and the Connor Stallions and the cheating that went on. But anyways, the Chargers are kind of an unknown this year, as well as Las Vegas. This total screams stay away as far as DraftKings goes. But I don't know. I kind of like the over. I kind of like.
So this is your game?
This would be my game where I'm like, this one goes off and nobody's on it. Trying to think of who I would stack though. I mean, I would. Hmm, I don't know. You got anything here?
Nothing. Who's going to quarterback for the Raiders? Is it going to be Minshew?
Yeah, reports are it's going to be Minshew.
He's priced the same as O'Connell, which is
Yeah, I don't trust that. What I would probably do, looking at it now, is if I stacked it, I'd probably go Herbert, and stack it with Palmer. I'd probably go Chargers.
I do
stack.
like Palmer.
Yeah, and then you could bring it back with White as a running back for Vegas. Maybe he catches a bunch of dump offs if they're down. He should see a ton of work this year too. Backup is Madison. Yeah, and Abdullah, like a couple of just washed dudes. So I don't know. I see. I think this is a potential spike spot, but I don't love it. My confidence on that is pretty low as far as it being a great stack game or something like that.
It's
I
another
really don't
dome
see
game,
it.
by the way.
It's another dome game for sure. We're getting the debut of Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers was a beast at Georgia, tight end now for Las Vegas. So hey, if you think it, dude's gonna continue his reign.
I mean, if they had anybody at quarterback that I thought was serviceable, then I mean they got Devontae Adams over there. So
is Minshew serviceable?
I don't know.
Minshew
I feel like
magic?
Minshew mania is
It's done.
dead.
How old is that dude now? He's got to be. We saw that dude. It feels like forever ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
We watched him play Phillip Rivers. Think about that.
Damn, that's hard to believe.
Yeah,
That was 2019,
yeah.
and he's still all right. Whatever. Next game, Washington at Tampa Bay. This is the only game I see right now that's got weather potential. DraftKings has the little rain cloud symbol next to the game, so I don't know if.
When we were there, we saw some weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a little pop-up shower.
Exactly. It could be same thing that happens again for them. Yeah. Commanders, Buccaneers, total opened at 43.5 down to 42.5. And
Baker Mayfield coming off of sort of a revival season a little bit.
Yeah, Buccaneers minus 3.5. The Commanders are weird this year. They made a ton of changes. Dan Quinn's their coach now. He was the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys. They brought in Eckler as their running back. They got Jaden Daniels as their quarterback. Yeah, a lot of different pieces and pieces that make sense. But do you trust them?
No, not at all.
They're a tough team to trust.
I don't like this game personally. I also skipped over Dallas at Cleveland, but we'll do that one last. Yeah, I don't like this game. I want to see what McDaniels is, so then that way I can decide, because I feel like McLaurin is due for something. Scary Terry he's too good.
Dude, he's just looking at the receiving core. He is kind of like the guy.
Oh, that's what I mean. So I need to see what McDaniels can do, because I think if he's anything, like we could see a nice season here for.
Yeah, I mean,
Terry
they traded
McLaurin.
away Dodson, so they have McLaurin, and then pricing wise, the next guy is Luke McCaffrey.
Is that Christian McCaffrey's brother?
I don't even know. Is it?
I don't know.
I have no clue.
Let me pull it up here. Luke McCaffrey.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. This receiving core looks rough.
That's Luke Christian McCaffrey's. It says sibling, so yeah. Christian McCaffrey's brother.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like the receiving core for Washington. This one's a stay away for me. It's a stay away for me on the Buccaneer side of the ball too. You want to talk about washed? Their receiving core is cooked. Godwin and Evans at this point are corpses of what they used to be.
Hey, Mike Evans won me a lot of money when
I can't with him. I mean, you look at his numbers and they're not that bad.
He had that super long.
I've seen that dude play in person now twice, and both times I was like, damn, he's slow.
He's slow, but it's so weird how he makes it work.
There's no shot that you will see me paying $7,300 for Mike Evans at this point.
Watch him have like 40 fantasy
Godwin's
points.
5'8" at this point. He's coming off of injuries. He's not what he used to be. It's a no thanks for me across the board in this game. I don't see myself getting to any of the pieces here.
All right, well then we can just move straight into the Cleveland and Dallas game.
How about them Cowboys? Cowboys 2.5-point dogs here in Cleveland. Total is 41. Man, the Cowboys. I got so much to say, but I'll hold most of it. I'll go to the important part, and that's the running back room. You've got Zeke, Cook, and Dowdle, and then you got Deuce Vaughn too, but I think he's a bit behind those boys. I'm hearing reports that Dowdle is going to emerge as the guy, but here's the scary thing about that. Zeke is the goal line back. Zeke is probably going to end up taking a lot of the touchdowns away from Dowdle. Even if Dowdle sees the field, let's say he sees the field 50% of the time, and Zeke sees the field 30% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's, Deuce Vaughn and Cook get the remaining 20%. I think Zeke is going to be the majority holder of the red zone touches. So Zeke potentially is the guy you want. Now, having said that, I don't really like any of the Cowboys running backs in this game. I don't really like this game in general. Zeke, 5,800. No thanks. I'm not doing that. Yeah, you could maybe convince me of Ford for Cleveland. Chubb is out.
What's his injury?
Remember he had a gruesome knee injury.
Oh, that's right.
Yep. He'll be out for the first 4 weeks for sure, and then we'll see with him. So yeah, it'll be Ford and Dante Foreman for Cleveland. I could maybe get the Ford, but in general, I don't really love this game. CD Lamb is the number one most priced guy on the slate as far as a wide receiver goes. I don't know. I got nothing that I'm really in love with. I don't have as high of hopes for the Cowboys this year as I normally do. Yeah, I'm expecting old Cowboys here. I'm expecting like 500.
Are they gonna blow it up after the season?
I don't know, man. At this point, I'm so burnt out on these guys with Jerry as a GM. I mean, just look at our running back room and then tell me that Jerry's a good owner / GM. There's just no way, dude. What are we doing? What are we doing? You got Dak, who's serviceable. He's fine. I have no problem with Dak, and I have no problem with CeeDee Lamb being a dog. But then we've got Zeke and Cook and Dowdle. Come on, man. What are we doing? Give me a break.
I'm about to pick Dowdle because
we've lost our defensive coordinator now. We had one of the best defenses in the league last year. And then, he's going to get paid and be a head coach. I got no problem with that. The defense is probably not going to be as good if we're being honest. They're going to be more conservative. I know that, which I don't like. I like Dan Quinn's defense. I like that we were taking chances, and in the end, it burned us against the Packers, but that's okay. I can live and die by that. The defense is going to be more conservative this year as far as blitzing goes. Interceptions won't be as high. Like I said, this is a 500 Cowboys team. We'll maybe try and squeak out a wild card, but I don't know. This is a stay away as far as DraftKings goes. Week 1, which is what we're talking about. It's a stay away for me. How about you?
I don't want any of it except for Amari Cooper.
Okay.
I'm on Amari Cooper, and that's it. It's the only person I want.
What's his price?
Game. I think 6,100.
This is a solo Amari Cooper, or this is a stack with Deshaun Watson?
If you're just, he's 6,400. You could stack it, and I think that'll be different. I think it'll be different to stack Deshaun and Amari.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think that's going to be a super popular stack.
But I think what you're saying, your explanation of the Cowboys and how you feel like this is going to be sort of a step back. If they're gonna take a step back, they're gonna start with their face in the dirt, basically. So I could see the Browns just like
I could see this being.
I could see them having their way a little bit.
I could see this being an ugly game where somebody wins on a last-second field goal. I could see this being like.
Yeah, but that's gonna hurt. So like,
it's gonna be 17-14.
Yeah, and if it's in favor of the Browns and like the Cowboys freaking battle it out their season opener and they lose to the Browns like on a field goal, like that's not gonna feel very good.
No. I'm mentally preparing myself for it now.
Yeah, I like Amari Cooper in this game. And
are you mentally preparing yourself for the Bengals to lose week 1?
I'm so no expectation for the Bengals because I just you just don't know. You just don't know. I think the ceiling for the Bengals is higher than the Cowboys currently, just the way that their roster set up.
I would agree with that.
But I could see it going the exact same way as far as I'm concerned. So
that's it. That's the breakdown, guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in.
This was a long one.
It was longer than we wanted, but it's, I think we did a good job breaking it down, and we will only get better as far as picking our way through this. Like Daniel said, this is our first DraftKings football show. We do a ton of golf. Make sure you guys tune in for our golf shows as well. But yeah, I enjoyed it, man. I think we need to keep going. I'm excited for NFL. I'm excited for game 1 tonight. Chiefs, Ravens. Who knows? Maybe I'm a millionaire right now. By the time you listen to this, I might be a millionaire.
Give me your favorite play on the slate.
My favorite play.
Give me your favorite wide receiver quarterback stack. Is it Allen?
My favorite for the Millie.
Yes.
Would be Richardson with Mitchell if Downs is out.
Okay.
That's my favorite.
And if
quarterback, wide receiver stack.
And if Downs is not out,
then it's probably Tua Tyreek.
Okay. I like it. I like Tua Tyreek as well. So, and then I'll probably have some Richardson Pittman.
Yeah, I could see that too. But with Richardson, Mitchell, if Downs is out, is a super cheap way to get huge
it's
ceiling.
It's going to open a lot of opportunity for you.
You can come back and get Kincaid and Hubbard and honestly, probably even Hill. You could probably solo Hill.
Solo Hill is fine. You don't need to stack Hill. That's the one thing about him. Like, you don't have to do it.
Yeah. If you went Richardson, Mitchell, you probably would have enough to solo Hill. Yep. So that's definitely something I would look up.
All right, that's the show. First NFL show officially in the books at the Bedhaven studio. We appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Check out the link in the description of the video. Get access to all the deposit matches and bonus bets across various sports books, and we will see you next time.